Hello fellow Inquisitors, Split Persona here, and welcome back to another tutorial video guide on Inquisitor Martyr. It's finally happened. I am doing the actual guide on the actual Adeptus Sororitas, or as they are known more commonly, the Sisters of Battle or the Battle Sisters. So, as always, there are, same as before, there are your three standard subclasses for this. We're going to go over each one just like we do in our regular tutorial videos. I am going to leave timestamps down below so that you can go and just jump right to it. One thing I will say about this is a DLC character. So the only ones that will come with the game when you first buy it are going to be the Crusader, the Assassin, and the Psyker. If you want the Battle Sister, you are going to have to buy the DLC for her. She comes with new weapons, new enchantments, but we're going to go and I am going to show her off and we are going to jump right into it. I do apologize for the length of time that it's taken me to get this video out, but she has a lot, and I do mean a lot, of new mechanics and new weapons. All of them I wanted to put in a little bit of time and made sure I got all my research and all my information correct before I did this. So I feel that I'm about ready, so let's jump into it. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is the Sister Seraphim. The perk she starts off with is Rabble Slayer, plus 60% melee damage bonus when surrounded. Okay, that's actually going to be a very good perk for her, considering her weapon set she starts with. And we're going to get into just a barely touching the weapons, but it's very important to note that her weapons are very unique. Not just for her, but for all of the Sisters of Battle. So this melee bonus, very good to have. She's going to start with a little bit higher contempt, so she's going to deal a little bit more damage. But one thing I will say about all of them, they are very much glass cannons. So, you're going to be dealing a ton of damage, but if you're not careful, you will die a lot faster. So keep that in mind. These are very much glass cannons, and there's really no way to build around that. There are ways to mitigate it and make it less so, but you will still be a little bit squishy. As far as her inventory for what she starts with, she is going to start with Tactical Jump on her Seraphim armor. It is going to have long range, knockdown, knockback, demolisher, area effect AoE. Perform an aerial assault, landing deals plus 470% base damage as physical in a 3-meter area and knocks down nearby enemies. This skill is recharged by kill streak effect. This is very much reminiscent of the Crusader's jump jet ability. It's not as far of a range, however, it will still get the job done. And basically what you're doing is this perk right here, melee damage bonus when surrounded. Yeah, you're going to be playing her very similar to how you would do the assault. To be honest, all of the Sisters of Battle play very similarly to a Crusader. However, higher damage, less health. If you want a tank, do not play as them. If you want a cannon, they're going to be better. So keep that in mind. So that is what her armor is. She is going to start off with also in her item slot a Holy Censer, which has an ability slot. So keep that in mind. It adds a slot for an extra Act of Faith. Act of Faiths we'll get in towards the later half of the video after we cover the first 3 characters. Her weapons, and this is unique to the Sisters of Battle. The weapons that they come with are called combo weapons. If you look, she has both a pistol and a chainsword. She can dual wield weapons, and there are a lot of combinations that she has. We're talking plasma pistols, force rods, stuff like that. So there are a lot of different combinations for how these can go. However, the one she's going to have is this one here, the bolt pistol and chainsword. So it's going to have eviscerate, melee, channeled, pain, traumatized, single target. Sustained disemboweling melee attack. Applies castellation marks on hit. Full auto. Long range. Salvo. Assault. Fleshbane. Single target. Continuous automatic fire. Applies castellation marks on hit. Assault leap. Long range. Fleshbane. Knockback. Better criticals. Weak versus armor. High suppression. Castation. Single target. Combination attack. Charge at the enemy, then strike and shoot in rapid succession. Whirlwind of Retribution. Long range. Channeled. Salvo. Fleshbane. High suppression. Whirling attack. Combination attack. Spin around while using both weapons to wreak havoc in both melee and long range. The one thing about most of these weapons is that you are going to be using abilities that will sometimes combine the two together. For instance, this ability right here, Whirlwind of Retribution. You will be basically doing the whirlwind attack that you would do normally with a melee weapon. However, because she's also dual-wielding a pistol, she will be shooting during that whole sequence as well. So she's basically going to be doing a spin attack with the melee weapon and shooting at random as she goes. It does seem to go and auto-aim towards enemies, but there does seem to be a little bit of randomness to it. So I still have to do a little bit of testing for the actual weapon tutorial video. But it does work very effectively for clearing out large groups. But the biggest thing is she has both a melee attack and a ranged attack on the same weapon. You don't have to switch back and forth. You can keep your abilities or your weapon setup the same. So if you have this weapon with really good rolls and you don't want to switch back and forth between your setups, you can just keep it on this one and go back and forth between the full auto and the eviscerate, because this weapon has both. And that is a theme that a lot of these weapons that they carry have. So keep that in mind when you're going and picking your perks. You can have this melee damage bonus when surrounded, but you could also have a range damage bonus when surrounded, and it would still apply to both, because this weapon is both. So keep that in mind. Her second weapon she comes with is the Power Maul. Strike, melee, armor breaking, stun, single target. Single target attack that deals high damage. Applies castellation marks on hit. Wide strike, melee, cone effect, wide AoE, knockdown, knockback, better criticals. Wide cleave attack that knocks back enemies. Applies castellation marks on hit. Pulverizing strike, medium range. knockback, stun, vulnerability, general, demolisher, castanation, area effect. Create a shockwave ahead before jumping to the target location, dealing additional damage when you land. Whirlwind Smash. Melee. Whirling attack, armor breaking, knockdown, knockback, castanation. Devastating whirling attack that knocks the primary target into your enemies, dealing additional damage. Also deals moderate damage around you and knocks back nearby enemies. One thing you will notice with both of her weapons is they have castanation. Castanation, if you look over there on the right, is consumes castanation marks from the target on hit, gaining plus 1% damage reduction per stack for 5 seconds. Stacks up to 5 times. So basically what you do is, each time you hit an enemy, not kill, but hit, these skills right here, strike, wide strike, stuff like that, your primary skills, they will apply a castanation mark to your target. Then, when you use pulverizing strike or whirlwind smash on that enemy, you will gain the effect of castanation, which will reduce the damage you take for 5 seconds, depending on how many stacks you've consumed from the enemy. This applies to both of these weapons. So this character is very much going to be one of those, get into the middle of enemies, use your skill sets on these weapons to apply this castanation mark, and then take that damage reduction from them. So you're going to be dealing more damage to them, and then you're going to be stealing damage reduction with castanation. So that is this character here, the Sister Seraphim. She's going to have a very unique skill set than any of the other characters we've ever encountered so far. So that is her. Next, we are going to go on to the Sister Celestian. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is the Sister Celestian. She is going to come with the perk Blood Driven, plus 20% movement speed on kill for 5 seconds. Refreshes on kill. She is very much going to be your mobility DOT specialist. And there's a reason for this when we get into it. The last one we did, the Seraphim, is going to be a little bit more tankier, in my opinion. This one here is very, very much going to be damage over time and speed. Her passion is going to be a little bit higher, which means her faith and suppression damage resistance is going to be higher as well. So keep that in mind. Like I said, faith is, like I said towards the end of the video, I'll leave the timestamp and stuff. But her armaments she comes with. She has celestial armor, which has a faith slot. She also has the Holy Censer, which also has a faith slot. Faith is something I will get into in another video. Those are the perks that they have, and there's a lot to these characters. That's why it took me so long to get this video out. Simply because it's going to take me multiple videos to get all the info. But her 2 armor pieces do not do anything other than give you extra faith slots, which in my opinion is a must with these characters, simply because of their utility. Her weapon she comes with is going to be the Hand Flamer Embrazier. Phosphorus Barrage. Long range. Heat Fire. Channeled Burning DOT. Area Effect AoE. Release a continuous stream of fireballs that leave fiery patches, igniting your enemies. Applies castenization marks on hit. Focused Burn. Medium range. Channeled, armor breaking, knockback, high suppression, castenization, burning DOT, cone effect AoE. Release a short-range firestorm using both weapons while advancing forward and knocking back your foes. Fire Nova. Medium range. Heat, fire. Persistent, high suppression, burning DOT, area effect AoE. Release an expanding circle of infernal flames that ignites everything in its wake. There's a reason I say that she is very much going to be your DOT specialist. Everything in her kit here is designed to burn heretics and cleanse the infidels and purge the demons. So she is very much going to be your very, very heavy. When you go into your passives, I would first recommend going up the heat skill tree, and then I would recommend going up the DOT skill tree, and if you have any left, the AoE skill tree. That is how I would recommend building her, simply because she is very much going to replace the heavy flamer crusader. And I know that sounds very hard to believe, but considering the amount of damage she can do with this weapon alone, this weapon will carry you through most of the game, this Hand Flamer Embrazier. Once you get this, and considering you start with it, you will be purging heretics and cleansing the unfaithful nonstop. This weapon is extremely powerful. If you notice, though, its fourth slot is another faith slot. She is very much going to be a faith and DOT heavy character. If we look at her secondary weapon, she has a plasma gun. Yes, she can carry the plasma gun. They can carry all of the regular rifles that the Crusader can. So, like I said, keep in mind, they are a lighter version of the Crusader. Higher damage, less health. But they also have access to just about the same armaments, minus heavy weapons. They do not have access to heavy weapons. Keep that in mind. Plasma gun. Single shot, long range, slow projectile, fleshbane, demolisher, single target, delivers a single shot at the target. Short burst, long range, rapid fire, slow projectile, armor breaking, knockback, spread tight, single target, a short burst that fires multiple shots. Focus bolt, long range, piercing AoE, slow projectile, armor piercing, vulnerability heat, concentrated energy discharge for increased destruction, compressed plasma, long range, charged shot, armor breaking, area effect, AoE, overpressurized plasma discharge with an area effect. Same as every other plasma gun we've ever been over. Nothing has changed. She doesn't change any of its skill perks. You're not worried about those. You're worrying about this. You are going to want to build her, like I said, exclusively for DOT damage. She does have the castenation marks on these weapons, so keep that in mind. They do give you a way to go and get more survivability out of them. You're going to apply castenation marks with your Phosphorus Barrage, and then you're going to take that from them with your built-in flamethrower from Focused Burn. Keep that in mind. You have a built-in flamer on this gun, because it is a hand flamer. So remember that. You have Phosphorus Barrage, which is a very, very long range. It will go all the way to the end of, even the Crusaders' max range. So Phosphorus Barrage is very far range. The Focus Burn is a medium range. So you can hit these guys from afar, light them on fire, ignite them, apply the castation marks, then move in for the kill with the Focus Burn and get that damage reduction buff. Fire Nova, if you are surrounded by enemies, you activate this and it will burn everything around you. So this one is very simple to describe. High DOT damage. Very high DOT damage. Little bit more squishy than the others in the fact of that, because this one is going to be very, very much, damage over time. However, one of the perks I would definitely recommend as soon as you get it unlocked is there's a perk for damage over time heals you, or DOT effects heal you. Put that on immediately as soon as you get it. Don't hesitate. Do not do it. Take this off if you have to, if you don't have, another perk slot unlocked. That fact alone will keep you alive. I can't tell you how many times that saved me because of this. With her applying constant DOT and constantly igniting enemies with this weapon, you will be always healing yourself with DOT effects. So keep that in mind. As soon as you get that perk, you want to put that on there. So that is the Sister Celestian. Next, we're going to go on to the Sister Dominion. Okay. The last one we're going to talk about, before we get into all the other parts of how they function, is going to be the Sister Dominion. She is going to start with the perk Run and Gun, which we've seen this one before. 100% ranged damage bonus for 1 second after moving. Basically, move, shoot. Move, shoot to get the most out of it. She is going to start with higher contempt than all the others. She is very much going to be the highest damage dealer. Okay? Sister Dominion is your damage dealer. Sister Celestian is your DOT, and Sister Seraphim is your more, I guess you could say, survivor one. More survivor crowd control, I guess. Her inventory, she starts with Dominion armor. It has combat dash, long range. Dashes forward quickly up to a maximum of 3 times. Gains a charge every 5 seconds. This one here is a little bit different. You can think of it kind of like the assault leap, but instead of jumping up and over something, you are instead going to be dashing forward and hitting any enemy in your way. So keep that in mind. If you activate this ability and there's, say, traps or anything like that in your way, you will be passing through them. So always remember that with this ability. Combat Dash will go and allow you to go and, run and move around very quickly, but you will also pass through traps and activate them and stuff like that. But it is a very interesting armor in that you can set up some pretty good movement courses. And you gain a charge every 5 seconds. So it's not like it has, a long cooldown. She does come with a holy sensor. They all do. Which just gives you a faith slot. Her weapons. She has the bolt gun. Single shot, long range, armor breaking, vulnerability, physical, breacher, single target, delivers a single shot at the target. Full auto, long range, salvo, fleshbane, spread, moderate, high suppression, breacher, single target, continuous fire as long as you are holding the button. Aimed shot, long range, aimed, armor breaking, knockdown, knockback, better criticals, single target. Single target attack that can be used to deliver precision attacks by holding down the attack button. And frag burst, long range, salvo, spread, wide, weak versus armor, high suppression, area effect AoE. Continuous attack with slow rate of fire. Sprays anti-personnel frag rounds in the direction of the target with a wide shot spread. Same as every other bolt gun, same with the plasma gun, they have the access to the same kit as the Crusader. So if you played Crusader weapons, you know how these play. We're not here for this one, though. We are here for this. The Flamer. Now, this is different than the Heavy Flamer. This is just a regular Flamer. Flame Cone. Medium range. Channeled, Assault, Shred, Flee, Burning DOT, and Cone Effect AoE. Belches a continuous fire plume of burning promethium while advancing relentlessly, fearing enemies. Disengaging Stream, medium range. Channeled, high suppression, burning DOT, Cone Effect AoE. Continuous fire stream while moving away from the target until you release the button. Scorched Earth, long range. Knockdown, knockback, high suppression, burning DOT, area effect AoE. Area denial attack ignites the ground upon impact. Phosphorus Splash, long range. Persistent, burning DOT, area effect AoE. Liquid promethium stream ignites the targets upon impact. This is very much similar to the actual Heavy Flamer, but this here is a standard rifle version of it. It is not a heavy weapon exclusive to the Crusader. This is an actual rifle build. So you can put this Flamer on your Crusader, or you can put this Flamer on your Sister of Battle. I have not checked it with the Sniper class, or the Assassin class, I should say, but I believe that they can do it as well. I have to double check. That'll be in the actual weapon tutorial guide. But these weapons and the armor and all that stuff is interchangeable between all the classes. Just keep that in mind. So if you're playing a Sister Celestian, which is the heavy DOT, heavy heat based, you can put a flamer on her as well instead of the phosphor gun. So if you want to have just a pure flame-based character and purge heretics with fire, go for it. That there is going to cover all three classes. Next, we are going to get into the passive skill trees. They come with 3. Warfare, Acts of Faith, and Banners. Banners is another utility item that is exclusive to them that is going to take a video for me to go and cover. So, Warfare is basically going to just increase their damage. It will also give them, if you look here, ammo and overheat capacity, The difference is you have multiple capstones in here. Deadly Precision requires 10 points, requires Killing Spree, requires 15, Scorching Hatred requires 10. So there are multiple capstones in some of these. Divine Light requires 11. Will of the Sortis requires 15. And then you have, Sacrifice, you have Mayhem, you have Standardist of Quickening. All of these skills are very much geared toward how you're going to fight with them. If you're going to use your utility items that are unique to them, their banners, you will want to go and put a few points into this for sure. If you are going to be using the weapons more than anything, you are going to want to put some points into this and get, ammo and overheat capacity. Because using flame weapons on your sister Celestian for DOT is going to overheat your weapons very quickly. So the faster you can get overheat capacity, the better. If you are more into their acts of faith, you are going to want to go and use this skill tree here. You are going to want to do that because, and this is what we're going to cover next, you need the cool down for their abilities. Not resource, cool down. There's a difference with these classes. And we're going to cover that in a second here. Okay. So this here is their acts of faith. And if you look on your ship, it's right over here, right by, the big tank, right here where all your constructs, your psyker skills, they put everything all nice and in the same area, which is very helpful. Sisters of Battle have a very unique resource. You do not start with any. You start at 0 on your resource. Your abilities, however, have cooldowns. Now, the reasoning for that is you have a few different ones that can be very helpful. The first two that are unlocked is Fiery Heart and Divine Grace. Let's go over both of them. Fiery Heart. Self, 5% chance of dealing heat damage to cause a small burst of flames, dealing 50% damage as heat and applying a stack of burn on enemies in a 3-meter radius. Then you have Divine Grace. Gain energy shield equal to 150% of your maximum HP on activation. After 8 seconds, you lose the shield gained from any source and release a nova that deals damage based on the lost shield amount. This is where your survivability and some of your other skills are going to come from, is this here, this act of faith. And this is where you're going to want to put in, have your little abilities up here where you have the slots for acts of faith and stuff like that. As you can see here, here's the combat dash for my armor slot, and then this is where my holy censer would be, is this slot here. That's what's giving me that ability. But if you look, this here is your faith gauge, and it's registering as empty. There's a reason for that. You have these down here. Sacred Rites. Battle Fervor. Gain 0.01 continuous faith regeneration per second for each enemy killed for the duration for the duration of a mission. Resets upon leaving embodied saint form. The reason you don't have any class resource is because you have the equivalency of a rage meter or a berserk meter or something along those lines. You need to fill that meter up. Once that meter is full, you gain access to an ultimate. That is the embodied saint form. Now, there are a couple of ways of gaining faith. This one here, Battle Fervor, is the one you start with. You do unlock some other sacred rites as you go along and level up. Unlike all the other ones, you will be leveling up all the way into level 60 to get some of these unlocked. Yes, I said 60. So you will be dealing a lot of, like this one here, Spirit of the Exemplar. You will be gaining 0.35 faith for each kill. This amount is increased by 100% per kill streak. So this right here is just simple basic regeneration. It does stack. I have tested this. It will stack. So the more enemies you kill, the higher that percentage goes up. Kill 10 enemies, you take it to 0.1%. Kill 100 enemies, you take it to 1%. It will go up and it will increase. So keep that in mind. The more enemies you kill, the faster that bar is going to fill up. And it does stack on top of each other. But once this bar fills and you activate Embodied Saint form, you lose all your weapons and you will sprout wings, fly off the ground, and gain access to a very, very specific skill set that you can customize. And that is going to be these saintly deeds over here. These saintly deeds you unlock as you level. Again, you're going to be leveling quite long, level 39 to get to some of them. So it's basically the same as your weapon loadouts. You go, you click, you drag, you put it in the slots, stuff like that. Same with your Axe of Faith. You can put it into a slot if you have it open. But, like I said, once you enter Embodied Saint form, you lose your weapons. So you will be using these abilities. The ones you start with is going to be Blade of Eternal Flame, Armor Breaking, Fleshbane, Knockdown, High Suppression, Area Effect AoE, Cleave attack that deals heat damage in a frontal cone, Cleansing Flames, medium range, Knockdown, Knockback, Burning DOT, Area Effect AoE, releases a slow moving projectile that deals heat damage over time and leaves a fiery path in its wake. Now, one thing to say about these saintly deeds. If you look here, they use both faith and they have a cooldown. So not only will, once this bar gets filled, once you enter saint form, it will slowly start to drain itself down. But as you use your abilities and you use the stronger abilities, that bar will have its abilities go down faster because you're using skills. So keep that in mind. Now, there is a skill tree in the Axe of Faith, I believe it. Oh no, was it Axe of Faith or let me double check here. I can't remember. Professional. Yeah, Axe of Faith. So, you have Longevity and you have Holy Haste. Now, these are both exclusive to each other, so you must pick one, because once you pick one, the other one is locked. Keep that in mind. Longevity gives you plus 15% maximum faith, while Holy Haste reduces maximum faith. Now, most people would be asking why you would want to reduce it. Well, the reason is...
Who are you?
Don't want to talk to you. You still have to fill this bar completely every time you want to get into your saint form. So if this bar is 15% less, that's 15% less time it takes to fill it. Yes, you may not be in it as long, but if you are using this saint form for dealing high amounts of damage and everything else, I would definitely recommend probably going with the less time. However, if you're looking just for longevity in that form and you're using it for crowd control, I would recommend taking the more faith option, simply because it will give you more time inside your saint form. It'll take longer to get there, but if you're doing a large mission, you can go and activate your saint form and just do a longer stretch of crowd control with it. This is why I say the Sisters of Battle, though, are so heavy on the DOT. All of these skills are fire-based AoEs, DOTs, stuff like that. You are very much going to be building these characters heavy on anything involving damage over time, heat attack, area effect. You are going to be using this triune here. The area effect, the heat attack, and the damage over time. You will be using those 3 skill trees possibly the most, in addition to her 3 standard ones. That is how I would build them. Simply because your saint form, if you use it often, is going to be a very, very heavy, and I do mean heavy, heat, damage over time, and area of effect ability-based skill. Now, the one thing to say about the saint form is you are a little bit squishy in it. Again, you have to think of this class as a glass cannon. You will be dealing a ton of damage, and I do mean you will be dealing more damage than a properly built Flamer Crusader. But you will have the option to die in your saint form. That is a very real possibility. There are skills that you can get for if you die in saint form, you will just revive in your standard form and revert back to it. But without that perk, if you die in saint form, you die. So keep that in mind. You are not invulnerable in saint form. You may be dealing a ton of damage and slaying enemies left, right, and center, but you will still die if you do not watch your health. And health on this character is a very, very big thing. She does not have a lot of survivability. That is why one of your acts of faith is Divine Grace. This energy shield here is a must, in my opinion, on any build. Simply because you gain an energy shield as soon as you start, and it does not take an actual charge or anything like that. It's just on a cooldown. That is the nice thing about acts of faith. They do not cost resources. They do not cost, a class resource. They don't cost, munition charges or any of that. They take a cooldown. So that's why I said she's a very interesting character class in that most of her skills are cooldown types. So if you can get some enchantments that reduce cooldown, go for it. You'll be able to use your Axe of Faith that much faster. As far as how I would play them, like I said, heavy on the DOT, heavy on the area effect, heavy on the heat attacks. Plain and simple. Put some skill points into their health, get them a little bit tankier. But the biggest thing is, look at your Axe of Faith, build those around how you're going to play. I always run one with Divine Grace. And Divine Grace also pairs with any sort of other shield build that you have for that Nova that it deals. So keep that in mind. But that is going to be it for the class breakdown of the Sisters of Battle, the Adeptus Sororitas. I will be doing videos on all the other stuff. Like, I'll be properly doing videos on Axe of Faith, her saint form, stuff like that, like I do with all the other ones. I'll be doing videos on the weapons, but this is an overview of the actual class itself. This is the actual video. I know I did my little quick tutorial guide on how to get started, but this is the actual guide. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like button. If you want to see more from me, subscribe. And I will see you all in the next episode. Have a good day.